Good morning and rally-ho, fellow Lali-Ho League players. My name is Dathis. I am joined here in the Restream booth by Possum Morpheus, and we are here to commentate over Cymar and Rexbanner on their round 3 match. How you doing this morning, Possum?
Well, I'm doing quite well, Datus. I'm always excited for a little morning free enterprise in my life. So this is a good one. This is a winner go home for our runners. So I am excited to see what we get here.
Absolutely. Grab yourself some morning dwarven brew and settle in for a great match to see. Do have our runners at both 0 and 2, so this is make or break for them. So we're gonna have one of them going home after this, but one of them still will have contention for this, and it's going to be interesting to see which one of these two runners go. I think the most interesting thing is we have no character hunts this time around.
Yeah, we have two boss hunts that we're looking for: Ogo Pogo and Mylon Z. Ogo Pogo to me is a particularly interesting one. Mylon Z is oftentimes fairly free in almost any place you find him, from a combination of wizard hats for undead protection, or anything like that. But Ogo Pogo, Ogo's a jerk. Ogo Pogo will make you have a bad day no matter how good or bad your party is. So that's the one I'm excited to see. And maybe our runners get lucky and find Ogo Pogo in a nice, easy spot, as opposed to something really rude like the hook route or the giant.
Now, you see, you think that, but I'm a big proponent of going and seeing them at Baron Inn 2 after what looks like a fairly easy fight. And it's like, okay, take a little bit of damage and we get through it. And then you see Ogo, and Ogo's like, hey, come back, see me later. So that's some places I like to see as well. The really nice thing, though, about Mylon Z, plus the starter kits that you have, and especially with this Sid, you get the Dwarf Axe, which also includes the thrown element on it because it's a long-range weapon. So it will do extra damage to that Mylon if we don't find, say, an Earth Hammer to hit that fire weakness.
Yeah, or even just a simple bow and arrow. That Mylon Z, it's an objective very unlikely to challenge our runners. Mylon Z, of course, being one of the bosses on Mount Ordeals in the vanilla game, not intended to be the utmost difficult boss. So it'll be interesting to see how our runners tackle both of these, but I'm excited to get this kicked off. This again is a winner go home for our runners, so a lot on the line for them as far as making brackets. So it'll be very interesting to see how they route, how they fight, what they might have picked up along the way to get them from 0 and 2 to 1 and 2.
Absolutely. And this is always where you see a little bit more of like maybe interesting strats. Maybe people are going to play a little bit more bold, where you say, oh, well, normally I wouldn't take this check, but I want to keep my dreams alive, so I'm going to go here instead, sort of thing. It's always very interesting. But the more interesting thing we're about to see is we're going to see who's paired with Sid.
Yeah, I know. I always like a Rosa or a Kane. Cecil, not bad. Cecil has a 1 in 3 shot at a Black Sword. There's a Luca key and a Bahamut, so a free boss and Baron in 1. That Cecil, though, again, having a 1 in 3 shot at a Black Sword can add a lot of really early DPS to the team, plus the chance of a swoon proc. So, very interesting start. Potentially a very high-powered start, actually. It'll really depend on what Cecil starts with for gear.
Yeah, absolutely. And the really nice thing is when you go and if you find, say, even a Tella, you're really pushed to that Ordeals, and that's something you're definitely going to want to do. But the big thing is who's going to be on Hobbs to help these out? What kind of loot are we going to find? Because right now, Sid can get you through this early game with that Dwarven Axe, but he's not going to be the greatest powerhouse.
Yeah, one of the things with that Sid that I know that I really like to do is go into battle with whatever he starts with for a weapon and then swap to the Dwarf Axe. So I get that full bonus, of all of the damage, all the strength boost, but none of the accuracy penalty. So that's a nice thing to do for either Sid or this Kane that we see hanging out in Baron Inn. And that Kane's a very strong character early too.
Not only that, but we also see a very potentially rude boss. That's Evil Wall out of the pool of potential late game enemies, and that's something you like to see. That's a low HP spot. Hit it once or twice, and it's kind of knocked out of contention. That's a really nice spot to see that early on. Simar finding something very fantastic in the back of Baron. That's a dancing dagger for that Kane, or even if we find, say, a Rydia or an Edward, there's a fair amount of damage potential already on this team to just be going through. Whereas Rexbanner is checking outside of Mist. Always make sure you check your freebies because we are still on a D Mist hunt right now.
Yeah, and also looks like he did go into the inventory and peek Cecil, and he got a darkness sword. There's a dark elf, so not too much going on here. Um, but as far as that dancing dagger, one of the other interesting things is if you don't find any really good equipment, if you're able to get through ordeals, Cecil can still use a dancing dagger and chuck it as well. So can the cane that's in Baron Inn. So for Simar, that dancing dagger is going to have legs throughout certainly the early game and maybe even into the mid game, depending on the weaponry that's found.
Absolutely. And we have Rexbanner going and treading a little bit of new ground with Simar right behind him. We are going to have a look at Damsian's treasure. One of the better places to be looting because this has some higher tier loot. We do see an ice brand. Very nice for that Cecil. Also a coffin and a Leviathan. That's fairly stacked for if we go to crack an egg, or if we find a free boss in a spot where we want to just throw that and instantly take it out and maybe get a life glitch out. So Damsian setting us up for a fairly decent mid game power wise.
Yeah, the Leviathan orb is actually quite a high roll, being a tier 6 piece of loot. Not something that you would normally find, in a spot like this. So that's definitely a nice high roll for our runners to have access to Leviathan, if they can find Iridia to make use of that. We also did see Rexbanner find some Dragoon armor, which on the surface, it's like, oh, this is just money, this isn't really that useful. Well, Dragoon armor provides a ton of physical defense. It provides a lot of resistance to elements, and it also provides resistance to dragons. So that's an endgame piece of equipment right out the bat as well.
Now, Possum, you're also saying that finding that Leviathan is a high roll. What do you quite mean like that? I mean, isn't treasure kind of like weighted the same no matter what?
Well, funny enough, based on the commonality of the location, treasure is actually weighted on this flag set. So in a place like Damsian, where almost everyone visits and the chests are very close together, the loot is going to be more on the tier 1 to 4 side, with tier 5 items like a coffin or tier 6 items like a Leviathan orb being rarer. But in a place like Mist Cave, where almost no one ever goes to loot, Mist Cave would have tier 3 through 6 loot only. So it's, a very interesting little bit where a lot of those less traveled paths have some of the higher loot. So again, that pickup in Damsian's phenomenal, but out of the ordinary, to be totally honest.
It's always nice to find stuff out of the ordinary. However, we are finding something ordinary, and then I'm going to call this little French vanilla on top, if you want to count that. We have an Yang here in his vanilla spot in the game, and he's fighting against Dark Imps. Not quite the imps you find him fighting against before he fights Mom Bomb here, but that's a nice little touch here, though. Additionally, we do have the Cat Claw for him, so this Yang has the potential to do some truck of damage when we get him a couple of little levels. This is a very good early pickup. We have a lot of bruisers going on.
Yeah, this is a fairly strong party. Sid is going to carry things, but Yang is not a bad pickup when you have a Cat Claw. That's +5 strength, +5 agility. Really gets him going, gives him an extra early multiplier. So quite a nice pickup, all things considered, adding that extra little bit of damage to go with that Sid early on.
Absolutely. And the really nice thing about Yang is with the C Makey flag, where you don't get any equipment, he's probably the only character where levels are the absolute most important thing to him. Yeah, your black mages kind of work like that too, but for what we've got so far, these are probably the better characters to find just like levels and be dealing with minimal to no equipment. Cecil, he doesn't really get good until he becomes a paladin, so his Dark Knight's form is just there to absorb. We have Sid, who comes in at the highest HP, so he's a big spongy tank right there. And we have Yang, who it's like he's slow. He is the best and he's the worst in this because he does need nothing but levels, but also his strength comes from hitting elemental weakness. So unless we find some of those claws, he's going to fall off mid, but he's going to be very solid in the beginning and late.
Yeah, and especially starting with that that poison claw as well. Pairing that with the cat claw gives him +8 strength and +5 agility. Early on in this game is going to really drive that Yang to do a lot more damage than you would otherwise expect out of it. So that's going to be a fantastic opening set of items for that Yang to go ahead and beat up on some monsters, including but not limited to this D-Mist in Antlion Cave. So D-Mist hunt is over.
Exactly. So no need to check the free bosses anymore. Don't think to say, oh, where's this Demus versus Demus? We know exactly where it is. Although we did see the other waterfall boss, which was Asura, which is another boss we don't mind seeing out of the way. So we're in a fairly safe-ish spot to be going when it comes to bosses. We do have Rex doing this fight, and it actually looks like Samar is doing a bit of divergence and is going to be heading towards Fabul, though.
I don't hate the Fabul check for two reasons. One is you get a heal out of it. So if you need a heal, that can be a nice way to get that heal. And it does open up a key item check, as well as getting 5,590 experience if you don't split the XP from a boss that's a split XP boss. So it's definitely not a bad check. And those early levels, especially for Yang, can really get him going. That'll get him 3 or 4 levels, nearly double his HP, and probably get him an extra attack multiplier.
Absolutely, but we do see Rex getting through there, getting another character check in the package. Also a very nice double whammy. You just want to go to Mist, and you can do a double cash-in right there. Check Mist, the key item, and then go right into the package cutscene if you so want. Right now, I would be very tempted, because again, we're still looking for Ogo, we're still looking for Mylon, and to be honest, we're kind of looking for a white mage to carry these guys through the mid part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you see like a package Rosa, a package Palom even, a package Fusoya, a package Edge, maybe even a package Porum, because you want that access to Berserk fairly early. There's a lot of opportunity for picking up that free character from the package, and I definitely understand Rex just running straight over here. Probably going to check the D-Mist item first, and then going to get that package character check along the way.
Question in chat: is that French vanilla Demist using the package right after defeating Demist? That's kind of a little bit of vanilla in the aspect. Although it is interesting that we have the Demist trying to keep the package away, protect their village. That's my little thought there. We have our underground and another character check though. That is the hook. Yeah, I would walk that out just to make sure. But we have the possibility of a hook route going on here, which could be very nice. There's the Rosa you're talking about too. That is probably your best scenario to find.
That is, yeah, that's 100% you follow this cutscene through. That is the preeminent white mage in Free Enterprise. You sit through all 3 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever this is, even if it's all gauntlet, you sit through it. You get this Rosa. She's that good.
Oh, 100%. Because she does. Rosa is like, honestly, she's the best all-rounded character. She does good DPS. She does good healing. She has fairly okay HP growth. She is all right with agility. She's just, her only quote downfall is she does not learn exit, and she learns Berserk later than Porum. Aside from that, Rosa is probably the quote most balanced of all the characters that we have in Free Enterprise.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Rosa is just a fantastic character all around. As you said, does damage, does healing, and her HP growth is better than any other mage, with the exception of Yang, the punch mage. So, yeah, Rosa is everything she's cracked up to be and more. And it'll be interesting as well. We have the hook also. Could be getting a very strong start going here. Could end up with a Sid, a Yang, a Cecil, a Rosa, and possibly like a Fu or an Edge. That could very well be an endgame team 15 minutes into the seed.
Exactly. And the really nice thing too, it's heroin robes, I think, are a tier 5 item. They got bumped down a little bit. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So we have a good opportunity of seeing that, meaning that this Rosa could go from just like, oh, I'm just going to heal and here, or she's just going to be going pure DPS. And with Sid starting off with that crossbow, she's not armed to the teeth, but she's going to be slinging around some numbers with some decent arrows.
For sure. And those heroin robes are tier 5. You are correct.
Sparkle.
There's a Sparkle, could be our Ogo. They do retail for 60,000 in gated shops, those tier
Oh,
5 shops, just to pale them. So you can always buy a heroine robe and just make Rosa that really beefy DPS, damage dealer. She is that versatile. She can do all things.
and the really nice thing is if you say find that if you find the heroine robe, you can then start slapping her in the middle, and she's going to be your best agility anchor for the overworld because that is a speedy Rosa that you'll have there too. I think the
For
only
sure.
thing that she won't outspeed will be about an average leveled Kane on the overworld, or an Edge. We haven't seen Edge, but we have seen the Kane. So the thing is, we also have the distinct 10 on. So there's going to be a couple of characters that are going to be taking a rest in the Dwarven Inn today. We just don't know whom it is.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see, speaking of that agility, how folks like to do their anchor. Kind of going back to that real quick, the heroine robe giving that plus 15 agility allows all of your center slot characters on the overworld to just take 2, 3, 4 actions before a boss can even get an action off. Oftentimes, just flat out killing the enemies before they even get to do anything. So again, that agility manipulation, knowing when to anchor with a low speed character or a high speed character. Another thing that we'll see how well versed our runners are in that. And we have an old man in a bed today, Tellus, sleeping in Kaipo.
We see him nap all the times in the seas. I don't understand why he's in a bed. He gets so much rest as it is. He needs to be like running around somewhere. I don't get it, man. He doesn't need the bed. But yeah, that's very nice to know. If we do find ourselves a Sand Ruby, that is a great anchor character, great for a grind character, in multiple different locations too. So we have a whole heap and smattering of options right now. And Rex is grabbing that. Oh nope, you parked in the wrong spot, my friend. We've all done that. Don't worry. And it looks like it's gonna go check that hook route.
Yeah, I like the hook route check for 2 reasons. One, obviously, is the character. The second is the shop. I guess even the third being the loot, considering our runners have not really looted that much yet. But this shop is guaranteed to have 2 tier 5 consumable items in the item shop. That's the big one. Those are things like sirens, Bacchus, hourglass 2s, elixirs, and coffins, I believe. So 2 of those 5 will always be in this shop. So this is a huge moment, if you will. There's sirens.
They're on there.
Yeah, there's sirens and Bacchus. That's enormous.
So here's another thing, Possum. We've seen the sirens. This is the only place they're going to be the entire seed now. So if you don't grab a whole bunch now, you're gonna have to come back here. This is a bit of a time sink, but it is kind of everything you want to see. Also, Rex finding that trap chest fairly early on. That's really not bad. So you can go find all the loot that you want to pick up, grab that. You see Rex skipping the first couple of chests, and you can loot kind of without abandon here.
Yeah, and the loot again in this location, because it has that trap chest and because it's kind of out of the way, is going to be a higher tier loot as well. So much better chance at getting tier 5, tier 6 items than, let's say, the town of Baron or some other more commonly looted location like Antlion Cave. So you can get things like light swords, like white spears. You can get samurai bows, even Artemis arrows, like lots of really
Another
good
cat
stuff.
claw.
Second cat claw. I mean, we have an absolutely rockin' yang right now. You get power shirts, Zeus gauntlets. Like, this is really good in the way of tiered loot. So I very much so like this play to go through and look at all of it from Rex's side.
Yeah, we even find like an OK bow. Also, still petition to name that great bow to OK bow. We do find a really nice pickup if we ever find a black mage. That Stardust Rod is kind of huge. Being able to cast the Stardust item itself. Wow, I say it here and the black mage shows up on screen. We're prepping for this Palom. That is great, but that is a blue robe, Possum. So that means we may have one of 2 fights. We may have a completely free hook route, or we may have a hook route that's slightly less free, but a whole lot of experience in that alt gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Water Hag, that's kind of a letdown, not going to lie. If it's Alt Gauntlet, it gets a little exciting because Alt Gauntlet in that spot likes to pop out some really awkward enemies. You get like sorcerers and blademen, you get a couple ogres, you get some random bombs. You get a green dragon at the end, which if you don't deal with, it will deal with you. So it can be
Great
like
target for that
surprise.
coffin.
Yeah, there's a coffin that can be used on that. Our runner Rexbanner here did also find a Murasame if an edge is located. So again, some of that high tier loot in here, maybe not coming into usefulness right now, but certainly could later.
So here's another little cheeky thing here. I believe in the Rubicante spot, one of the sorcerers will actually summon up Blade Men or Black Cats. Now, everyone thinks, oh, if you want to go for experience, you want to go for Mad Ogres. They're going to be the best. You want to fight Mad Ogres. Now, hear me out here. If, say, you don't want to crack a siren when you get underground, you can kill some of these Black Cats and some of the Blade Men for great EXP. They're actually only about maybe 400 or 500 underneath a Mad Ogre, but they've got like a third of the HP. So you have that option if you want to do a quick little cheeky grind down here. Get yourself some levels, get that Palom Quake by the time he's underground. It's an easy way to get about it, or even just get him up to Virus to where he can then start like one-hitting eggs when you get underground. Again, just boost that Palom some XP.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. The way that I would do it if I were going to grind, I would actually pop the Sirens here on Ordeals where Rexbanner is going right now. Sirens, when used at the top of Men Ordeals, will pull 2 Liliths and give a total of 5,500 XP, and they only have like 300 hit points. And it's actually a really nice way to get Virus on the kid, or maybe even up to Quack if there's really a nasty type boss that you need to get through, where that AoE is very much so a thing that you need to do. Hopefully our runners don't need Quake, before they go underground, but a little bit of an Ordeals grind is, not necessarily a bad play to get those extra levels for all the characters.
Oh no, absolutely not. If we have some really rough bosses coming up, like again, we have King Queen Evelyn, which is a very punchy spot. We could have something extremely rude there, like we haven't seen an Hourglass. Maybe we see something along the lines of the officer and soldier fight from Kaipo. That's not something you're going to want to see. Those will hit really hard, even for being low tier enemies.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you have a split boss like that officer soldier or something like that, and you don't have the AoE for it, oftentimes you'll end up where they get the attack power of the boss in that spot, but it splits evenly to all 3, and so they just punch and punch and punch, and then you die and die and die, and that's not a fun time. So having that AoE is fantastic to just take care of them before they take care of you.
May I introduce you to Dark Imps at Leviathan or Bahamut? Those are fun. Or even Baigan at those spots. Yeah,
Yes.
Punchy bosses are not what you want to see. But what we do like seeing is we see a possibility of some leg here on Rexbanner's side. Is it? Oh, it's Leg and Friends, though.
Yeah, Leg and Friends is actually surprisingly rude at this spot, though. If you don't take out the second form, which is the Ruby form here, it will do Fire 2, Fire 3, and then Party Glare. So if this second form doesn't get taken out very quickly, it could be a bad day for our runners. Rex using that Stardust rod through it very quickly. So the danger is averted on his side. We'll see if Cymar is able to get through it as cleanly as well.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, while this is Mylon Z sprite, that will not be the Mylon Z boss objective. That's a little unfortunate, but yeah, getting through these fights, Rex making great use of that Stardust Rod. Probably one of the best items he could have found in the underground, really. That Stardust J item usage is absolutely huge, whether it's for clearing out multiple enemies or whether it's just for doing early DPS. As we see, it's just making mincemeat of these bosses. And we do see Cymar right behind and doing great work too. So there's really no bad thing happening here.
Well, there was no bad thing happening here until Baigan showed up in the back attack.
No, I'm here for this. This is good stuff.
Honestly, this will be fine. Sid basically is going to solo this. Yang as well. Between the two of them, they have enough health and enough damage output. This is not a problem.
Yeah, Yang popping 280 damage. Yeah, those arms are not long for the world. It's going to be nice and simple.
So that was very well done by Cymar, though. Got the skip on the Elements fight, so was able to just take out the first form, which was that Mylon Z and the Ruby forms, and was able to skip the Kainatsu and Val forms entirely. got a nice roll on that dwarf axe hit. So that was really well done,
In-
timing wise, by Simar.
Indeed. And to answer a question in chat, have they found Sirens already? Sirens and Bacchus, a very loaded shop in the Ablana cave location. So it is very, very nice once they do hit underground. And if they get enough levels from here to push through whatever kind of shenanigans they have in the underground, there is still the possibility where it gets really rude. There is Ablana Castle to go and loot and do the trap chests there. That is a nice infusion of XP, along with Upper Babel's one trap chest of 4 Mad Ogres. With the rune rings and with this team, that's actually a couple of fights that I would take. Those Mad Ogres doubling as mage enemies as well aren't really gonna hurt you.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about the Dwarven starter kit. You had alluded to the Strength Ring and the Dwarf Axe earlier, but those 10 rune rings you start with, you slap them on all your mages or anyone else who can wear them, even like Yang, for example. And you're able to resist any of the mage hits. So any Asura shenanigans, any Magus Sister shenanigans, Baron Guards, anything classified as a mage. Basically, you just sit there and you laugh as they hit you for 1 damage, maybe 100 if they crit. Those rune rings, they make those Mad Ogres free though as well. So if you don't have a decent weapon for Cecil, go look for one. If you are trying to find an Artemis bow, that could also be in a trap chest. So in addition to those levels, it can also give you some incredibly high tier loot for the late game.
Indeed, and we do see Rex getting through that Stardust, killing all 3 enemies at one time. That's something you love to see, just that nice little like chef's kiss. We do get to see what the key item here is on the top of Ordeals, and it is the Darkness Crystal. The planet is our oyster. That is another character check right there. This is a spicy open seed.
That opens up some very interesting possibilities as well. With that early Darkness Crystal, also
Vanilla.
Esco doing his best impression of Eudathis, giving us a bit of a helping of vanilla. But yeah, that Darkness Crystal, if there's, let's say, hourglasses in the shop up there, or even mute bells, you can get your grind on very early on warlocks, on gold dragons, pretty much whatever your choice is. Get a couple levels and either blow up the moon or come back down to earth and go through that hook route. So it'll be very interesting to see what's in that shop and what our runners choose to do once they get there.
So you say if we see mute bells up there, the thing is we don't have to see them up there. We have already seen them. There were illusions and mute bells in the Kaipo shop. So we do have that option of, again, going up there, getting a great infusion of levels and looking at the hook rat boss going, ha, 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 no. And then just getting through the entirety of that underground, like you said, really quick, really nice and quick. So that is a very big possibility. The Warlock grind, I don't think I've seen very much in the tournament myself. What about you? Has it been like a big proponent? Because I know we are not doing D machines as much lately.
I haven't seen it a ton in the tournament, but I have kind of seen it a lot in private play groups, if you will, where early darkness plus maybe mute bells or a relative agility 1 Rosa or Porum, you can get the mute spell off and then just have somebody, go nuts on them, or have Quack Kid go ahead and, quake them. It's something that we will definitely see at some point. Maybe today's that day, maybe not, but it's certainly a grind that is warranted, because if you can get 5 for 3 on those warlocks, you get 86,500 experience from doing them. 5 for 3 meaning 2 life glitches in there. That's a ton of experience early on.
Oh, absolutely. And when you're looking at levels like 17 and such like that, that'll put you into what, maybe with the late 20s, maybe early 30s at that point, and then you're just kind of set up for the rest of the seed to just, again, go power overwhelming. You may not have the best equipment right now, but you'll get that from the rest of your looting if you so choose. An Ice Brand Cecil, not great, but I mean, you can't really argue with that. Eventually, there's a strong possibility of finding an X-Cal for him, with it being one of our objectives. So there is that. And if you loot some of these trap chests with the extra power you'll have, and with Sid, you're gonna be able to maybe find that crystal sword. So there is the possibility of getting power elsewhere after you get the levels up.
Yeah, one of the nicest things about having those sirens available is you can more or less just say, well, gear is great, but levels also cure a lot of woes. Even if it takes a little longer to kill something, you're going to get through it. you're going to find gear eventually, and maybe you find an Earth Crystal. Maybe you find that crystal sword you were talking about. Maybe you find an Avenger. Any number of things that can really kickstart this party, whether they be by loot or by level.
I like this, but this is great. Yeah, you said the levels are the bigger proponent. HP, it can make a huge difference. Like that's why we say Sid is one of the best starting characters. He can take such a whole lot of punching, and if you're in a spot that wants to put some HP, if you've got like 1500 HP to throw at something, that's a lot for them to have to try and work through. Unfortunately, the Moon Shop only just Sylph Summon and Haste Boots, which I mean, not something we really see used as an item. And we haven't found Iridia, so she may be missed not appearing in the seed still, but we are about to get that character check happening.
Yeah, and Sylph and Hermes, really not what you want to see in the Lunar Shop. You're hoping for some of those tier 5 consumables, or like tier 3s even, cabins. Something that's a really good juicy item up there to really get your party going for a moon dive, or just to keep them healthy throughout the rest of the seed. But there is a lunar edge, and I know that Rex at least had found that Murasame in Cave of Blana. This is probably going to be a snap pickup for him. It's just a matter of who he chooses to get rid of.
See, now, yeah, this is the problem. We want to keep that kid because he's going to be doing a heaping amount of damage. Yeah, I agree with the removal of Yang. Of all the characters, Yang is like the bottom tier right now, quote quote, but it's not like he is the worst character in this party. It's just like of what we have until we get some levels, he is not the most desired character. This Edge, we've got some gear for him. We got the Mirasame. We've got, I think we have a ninja shirt that we've also seen. So we have that. And yeah, so he's going to be doing a chunk of damage, a chunk of work, especially with his high agility on the overworld.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Edge can also use those claws. Edge can dart, Edge can steal. So Edge can do everything Yang can do. The biggest issue is he has about half the health. So for this, I totally understand taking Edge there. I actually think it's the right play to get rid of that Yang. I agree with you on that. That it just makes sense. Edge does everything that Yang can do and more. He just might not be able to take the same amount of punches. But
also,
like Rex,
can we talk about this cheeky moon dive with like level 25 characters? I'm so here for this.
I'll actually tell you what Rex is doing right now. I play a fair amount with Rex, and with 2 boss hunts on the table, he's going to check Value Cave and the Pale Dim spot, and just see if his bosses are there. That Ogopogo, that Mylon Z, knowing he probably can't beat him right now, but thinking that he can definitely at least get that information, so he will know who is there or who is not there for a later time. So this is something I've seen Rex do a lot in some private matches, if you will, where he likes to do this check and find out who these bosses are.
That's very interesting. But see, that kind of information can be a bit of a double-edged sword now. I'm not saying it's a bad call. I love it. Knowledge is power. It's so much power knowing these bosses are out of the pool. However, it's if he leaves these bosses to last and these 2 bosses have, say, gating key items that lead to multiple different objectives. Like this is where like knowledge is great, but also knowledge could be bad if he decides to fade these checks. Mind you, it also depends on how you want to do the moon as it is. There's a lunar sparkle. Let's see what we've got. So I like this. This is, again, I'm a big fan of getting all the information you can, because it again leads you to other decision making later on. That is not where you want to see your Ogo. Oh no.
Ew.
Oh no, man! So I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. Objectives 1, 2, 3, and 5 for both runners right now.
Ogopogo at Value Cave. So here's the problem with that. It's basically the hardest hitting physical spot in the game, and Ogo likes to punch. And it also just decides, let me remove half your health to start the battle. That's gross. Thankfully, silver lining ? This is the right team for it. This is a Zerker squad. Ogopogo is kind of weak to Berserk in a sense. Just don't ever use magic on him. But that's still a nasty, nasty spot for Ogopogo.
Yeah, the problem is it's going to be getting like okay, so I said the problem, but actually not that big of a problem because as I mentioned, not only does the Kaipo shop have those mute bells, there are also illusions there. So what you could do is take your first turn, have everybody who's not Rosa use an illusion. Rosa casts Cure 3 or Cure 4 because you're gonna grind a Cure 4 for that fight, and just take it slow, set up, and then keep yourself in the safety where Rosa will then keep blinks up, get cures going, and then your Zerkers just take their time. Because we have, again, the Bacchus Wines. That is going to be one of two fights. It is going to be either very slow and clinical, or it is going to be very expensive in the Gil side, because you're going to be using illusions. You're going to be using Bacchus Wines to get it going. But I'm so down for this.
It's that is what we might call character building. Having an Ogopogo at the Value Cave, basically guarding your win or go home match, which is what this is for these runners. And there is your officer soldier you were talking about for a little bit of that AOE that the Quack Kid, or in this case Edge, can provide with his flame ability.
Absolutely. So here's a spicy take. Let's see either Adamant, Pinktail, or the Twin Harp behind that Ogopogo. Let's make that hard required.
That would fall into the category of a filthy double required boss, and I would be all for it. I would say kudos to Esco on your first restream for rolling that. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, see, this is why I really enjoy seeing newer restreamers. Again, huge shout outs to Esco for doing this, and Master Mortaz for being our background tracker. Props to them. We just get to sit here and chat, but they get to do all the hard work. This is where you could get like some great memes on you. Like this is where I built my reputation of vanilla and or jet, usually both. Let's see if we can get someone to fight Asuka's reputation of rolling hot garbage. I'm here for a challenge to that throne, but I'm also here for that pass. That's not a key item per se, but it's also if we find go mode on the earth, we don't have to do that deep dive down.
For sure, that pass is huge. It saves somewhere between 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes of running all the way down to Zeromus. Another thing that's huge is the random ninja sword that Rexbanner found in a pot just in Fabul here. So he now has Murasame ninja sword on that edge. That is a very angry ninja.
Also picking up that mute dagger in Fabul, that is an expensive knife, but we still are missing the Baron guards. That could be a great way to do a chunk of damage to it. And additionally, we have the possibility of, if we go to do the Warlock grind, that is going to be a way to knock them down nice and quickly. Plus, also, as we were talking about, the Giants. Again, just so many uses for that knife right there. But it is an extremely pricey item. Additionally, with the fact that everything's selling for a quarter to try and afford some of the stuff, it's nothing. It's really nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, it's that S quarter. One of the flags on this set in particular really makes you be a little more frugal than you would on a lot of other flag sets. You have to budget. You can't just buy 10 or 12 or 15 of everything you want. Maybe you only buy 4 coffins or 3 hourglasses instead of buying 10 of everything. So that's always something to consider for our runners, is how much do they spend and on what do they spend it.
But all I know is how to just splurge all my money. How am I supposed to realize this isn't fair for people like me? But we do see Cymar treading over the same, getting that pass as well. And we have Rexbanner going to make very, very short work of knocking down this wall. Yeah, one hit, good night. We're about to see what the second fight is.
Yeah, that's 875 damage from Edge in the back row, and there's an orb.
Super free Baron.
Yeah, this is actually really nice for Rex, and I don't know if Cymar has the same goodies yet, but having the boomerang for that Edge to back row him, he's going to be doing full damage on this CPU from all sides, basically. So not going to be taking a damage penalty. Sid also going to have back row access, so this is going to be a very quick fight, all things considered. Also taking into account he doesn't even have Quake on Palom, but this fight is still going to be very fast for him.
So you are correct about that boomerang giving back row access, and Simar almost actually missed it. I remember this because it was very nice to watch the double back. What he did is he went left, double backed in, grabbed the chest for the boomerang, and left. So yeah, they both have a back row glitched edge here, which is very nice for them, which is why they're both in the back row doing their damage.
That's very good to hear, because Edge is a wonderful character, but back rowing him can be difficult. There's only 2 ways to do it, boomerang and full moon. So finding that is huge. There's half a Forge and a Cane.
And we have found a Gungnir for it. I'm not sure if Rex has sold it, which it looks like he did, considering you got rid of him with just that Flame Spear. So, I mean, not great. That could have been a character that would replace Palom, and you could have had the Quad Zerker squad. But I do also agree with keeping this Palom just because Quake is so good, and you have that option there. But yeah, Rex definitely looking to try and like, can I avoid this hook route? No, fine.
Yeah, I think not only is it nice to keep the kit around for Quake, but one of the first key items they also got was the Luca key. And at level 29, Palom learns Warp, which can save you probably 45 seconds alone getting out of the Luca cave if it's a key item you have to check. Cane is really not going to add much in the way of DPS. He's going to be leaning heavily on that edge anyway. Even with a Gungnir Spear, it's not exactly top tier. So it's one of those things where Cane is very average on this flag set. He starts out super fast, but his endgame weapons are very lacking compared to Edge and especially Cecil.
Why do you have to talk such smack about my boy, even though it's like 100% true? How dare you? How dare you spout truth at my boy? Yeah, Cane, I love him. He's a great character, like you said. Great agility early, great use of that dwarf axe and getting back row access. And again, he has such high amounts of like a widespread amount of weapons. He has spears, he has swords, he has axes, he has daggers. He is like your great jack of all trades. He is. Oh, hey, look, a black sword we were talking about earlier. He's one of the better starting characters, yes. And I do agree that he is one of the arguably worst statistically end game fighting characters, because even with a white spear and equivalent levels, he's going to be doing about maybe 1,000 damage less than an equivalent equipped edge, maybe even like about 1,000 to 1,500. His stat growths are okay. He is again just he's early game. He's an early game shotgun, whereas you need something to do long-term damage.
Yeah, like if our runners had gone to Baron Inn and picked that Cane up 5 minutes in, or 10 minutes in even, 100% you take that Cane and you lean on him and you let him help you get through the early part of the seed. But 40 minutes in, that's a tough pill to swallow. He's good, but he's not great. And you want to be great by the mid game and the end of these flags.
Absolutely. And again, there was the items to make him work and make him very solid as a character. We had the Gungnir in the in Antlion Cave, and then we had him like basically available right afterwards. Because if you went Antlion to get that package check to grab Cane, you would have a healer to get you through those fights. You have Cane now to get you through the rest of this DPS section, and you'd be okay. Like, the runners did absolutely fine. Also, Mute Knife doing the work that I was telling you, so great use for Rex there. So like you would have had a really good solid squad, and then I really think that Edge would have replaced Cane in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where Cane is good, Edge is just better. Edge also going through, well, unfortunately kind of low rolled that one, but taking care of these Mad Ogres, that Mute Knife
getting double life.
Yeah, that Mute Knife Murasame combo is going to get him most likely 7 for 4 on these, maybe even a little more. This is going to be upwards of 17,000 experience from these Ogres. This is going to be a huge infusion for Rex's party. This is very well done on his part. While Simar is going through this CPU as well. So both runners making really good progress. Rex just a little bit ahead right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because Simar is a little bit behind in checks, don't discount him because again, rando gonna rando, a bad fight for one player, or a bad rabbit hole can change the entire landscape of these things. And that's what I really enjoy about the required four. If say Simar doesn't want to do Ogo, they do the other three. But Rex is like, I have all these things. Another ninja sword, by the way. Holy cow! Can we find a second edge, people? If say Rexbanner decides he wants to go and brute force that Ogo, and it takes him a little bit of time, and Simar sneaks in like a check where it's like, oh well, Rexbanner faded this check, and Simar grabs it, and that's another objective. That's a big thing too, right? It's how they are going to run the seeds, which is always the more interesting thing when you get divergence and such like that.
Yeah, and to your point about knowledge being great, but also being a double-edged sword, just knowing that Ogopogo is in Value Cave, does that change, in this case for Rex, how he routes things? Does he skip something on Earth that might be way easier because he knows where his air quotes fourth objective is? Does he fade, let's say, a tower check, and then that tower check leads to, let's say, the pink tail? He ends up having to fight Ogopogo for 5 minutes. Simar goes and turns in the pink tail, and they're level again because that knowledge that Rex had actually came back to bite him. So it's an interesting kind of thing to look out for, kind of based on what you were talking about, where that knowledge is not always 100% the best thing.
And let's take another bait into that aspect. Say we find a Thunderclaw somewhere, like in the shops or something, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to take Edge and I'm just going to beat on me and Odin, and he puts the Odin down pretty quickly. And there's, again, we talk about rabbit holes. Say it leads to the Pan, which leads to the Rat Tail, which leads to absolutely nothing. If you take the rat holes enough, you've got, like, you can lose time just on, it's like, oh, this check makes sense. Sometimes the high amount of percentage checks are not always the greatest.
That is absolutely true. We see Simar getting through Baron Inn, has taken care of the CPU there, and Rex did a very nice job of getting through that ant line, just to be rewarded with an alt gauntlet. So here's a Lamia, I believe, and then the fifth fight is that nasty green dragon. There's some other fights in between that are kind of gross. This should be fine for Rex's party. Doesn't quite have Quake yet though, but does still have that ninja doing work.
Absolutely. The bruisers are going to do all the work that's necessary here. Going to be just wrecking, and again, Edge is going to be putting out solid damage. The magic stat here is fairly medium, so I don't think it pertains to the characters here, but with the amount of levels and magic defense on characters, I don't see a lot of counter stuff going off and hitting them. But yeah, Edge is going to be carrying through a lot of these fights now, just because of the nature of what equipment we found.
Yeah, that Edge is going to do work. This seed has basically been telling us with the loot, take Edge, let him carry you through this thing, and figure out what you want to do underground. But let him get you there, more or less by himself. That's the power of those endgame weapons showing up this early on, is that he is incredibly overtuned right now.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of these fights are things that you kind of don't remember unless you played the vanilla game very recently, or you have a very long-term memory for some of these fights. We see he now has Quake on the kid. This is very, very solid. Yeah, it's going to be kind of all done but the Cryon now, as we see Palom on the ground. A lot of these fights, you just kind of like, oh man, what do I fight? What do these things do? It's kind of entertaining to see. It's like, who remembers the vanilla encounters?
Yeah, always entertaining to figure out all the different things. This fight is the one that you were talking about, the Sorcerer Blade Man fight. This is that little grind that our runners can do. Now, the Mute Knife actually would have one-shot that Sorcerer. Hopefully this Palom
works just as well. Quake
does work pretty darn well. Palom with the dodge. That's a clutch dodge. He's going to get through.
That is so lucky. Yeah, that could have been such a bad time for him.
Looks like Simar taking on the Staleman chest. This is a play that he's probably trying to find a really nice weapon for Cecil doing this. because I think what we've seen so far is an ice brand, if I'm not mistaken, and that is not a top tier weapon.
No, absolutely not. Although it is top tier for this location specifically. So these enemies here are weak to two things. They are giants and they are weak to ice. So the ice brand will do an insane amount of work in this specific location. It will hit them like a truck, although it looks like they're hitting back like a truck. Yeah, 600 damage when Edge is doing like 200 is next to nothing. Also, Simar, I think, gonna get the bad news that the coffins do not work against the Stalemen.
Yeah, unfortunately, coffins don't work. They can be hourglass, but we haven't seen those yet. Uh, while Cymar is getting through this Staleman fight, which is always sneaky hard, Rex is underground, having gotten there in a very nice time of about 47 minutes, getting through that alt gauntlet as well as that very punchy antlion. So very well done to Rex getting through that. And there is another sparkle at the top of
Top
the
of the
tower.
tower. Do you do keyless now, or do you go elsewhere that and check your freebies first? Because I'm a big person of check your freebies, check your objectives. Now we can't see where the other objective is because we don't know the actual icon on the map, but that's a possible objective up there with another key item.
Yeah, I think if I'm in Rex's shoes, having done the hook route, having the levels, I would either look at Feymarch into Sheila 1 or Dwarf into Feymarch into Sheila 1. It just depends how frisky he's feeling if he thinks he can take out Dwarf Castle before doing the freebies.
Indeed, and this is where, like we said, it's now that you have the entire, not just the underground, but you have the entire world as your oyster, sort of thing. Like you've got the entirety of the moon, you have all the underground, you have a couple of checks left on Earth once you find the key items, obviously. But it's basically it's all open and it's all good. Also, Simar getting through that fight very easily. Only an Earth Hammer for his troubles for that Sid that he dismissed. Kind of unfortunate, but I mean, it would have been great if we'd still had the Sid.
The other humorous thing about that is if you steal from Staleman, then you actually go ahead and you get an Earth Hammer as part of the sneak table for Staleman. So it's fairly humorous to get one as the drop from that trap chest.
That is actually very interesting that we could have like grabbed it from them. So it's like vanilla drops sort of thing, I guess. Very, very interesting though. We do see some more coffins and some Thor Rages on Rexbanner side, prepping in case there's a Rune Kainazo somewhere or possibly here. So not bad finds overall. These item shops have been fairly generous to the runners. Whereas Rex is going to get us a quick look at whatever the jumping boss sprite was. I was looking away for a moment, and we're going to get the first check-in dwarf happening.
Octomammoth. So unfortunately, this spot is very punchy. So this Octomammoth is going to hit hard, but as long as you can get a couple whacks in on it, Octomammoth every 3 hits will lose a tentacle and lose agility. And so once the first couple of hits are dealt out, this Octomammoth becomes much, much more manageable. Rex opting to just flat out use a Bacchus wine and just get those hits in with that edge as soon as possible. Also opting for Virus instead of Quake, likely for the same principle. Just get those hits in early to slow that Octomammoth down.
Exactly, and you don't want to burn a lot of MP here. Like, there's a decent amount of HP in this location. Maybe save it for if there's going to be a longer fight on the other side, where you're going to want to be quaking a whole lot more, or something along those lines. But yeah, this is like Virus, just quick bop bop bop, nice and easy. Whereas
Yeah.
Simar is going to be finding his own Palom.
Yeah, picking up this Palom. Most likely going to see this Mad Ogre chest on Symar's side as well. Try to get some levels on that kid. If he takes him, he may not. Having a very committed Zerker party right now. So interesting decision here for Simar. Meanwhile, Rex already threw that Octomam. Very quick fight on his part. And he is rewarded with Dr. Luge, who is going to be basically nothing but a waste of time in this spot.
So we go from one dialogue boss to yet another dialogue boss in this location. Simar doing that last little check there, finding that Mirasame, so is going to be very happy giving it up to Edge there just to do a heckin' truck of damage. But yeah, we definitely have a very good fight here in Luge, just like nice and easy, low HP spot, get through it quick, just bop it and go.
Yeah, and speaking of Bop It and Go, how about Mop It and Go? Because we have a Fusoya now from Dwarf Castle. Palom has been almost immediately yeeted from the party, replaced by the mage that comes with all the fancy spells, except, I guess, Nuke in this case, which he will learn after this fight. But this Dr. Luge is not long for the world, and that Fusoya is really going to kickstart things for this party.
Oh, that's what happened? I thought Palom just like aged 7 years while watching these cutscenes.
Oh, no, that's Rydia that does that at Dwarf Castle, not Palom.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. The character that someone in our chat is very less fond of. The lesser black mage, as some people like to call her. She may be the number 3 black mage, but she's the number 1 summoner, and that's all that matters.
I mean, unless you have Sid use a Grimoire and hit Mist, and it functions off of his his HP. That's fine. That's fine. We'll let Rydia be the best summoner.
That is a very good thing, though. A very good point, though. Everyone sees Mist when they come out. I was like, oh, this is going to do so much damage because it was so good when we were fighting against it. It should be like a really nice one because it's her signature summon, right? Why does it do no damage? I didn't know that until I started playing for Enterprise, that it actually is based off of Rydia's HP. And yeah, having Sid do it is fairly entertaining in that aspect. But we are through the fights. Rex is getting a Dragoon Spear. Hey, remember that cane you threw away? Here, this would be great. This would be great for him, right? Right?
It's a good dart.
You like cane? Actually, I think the Dragoon Spear is one of the ones that he can't throw.
Oh, he definitely can. It's he can throw the White Spear, the Dragoon Spear. I think he can't throw the Flame Spear and the Blizzard Spear, but he can throw any of the tier 6 and 7 ones.
That's it. I remember like certain ones that he can't throw, and I keep looking, going, why is that not dartable? It's so weird. Yeah, it's very interesting how some of them just are coded to not be thrown.
Yeah, the throwing coding is, we'll say duct tape and rubber bands holding it together. It doesn't make a ton of sense.
I'm sorry, did you say the entirety of coding for this game?
Yeah, well, entirety, a little bit of it, you know, little column A, little column B, much like agility, which unfortunately Cymar is dealing with
Witchcraft.
right now. Yes, Witchcraft. That antlion that Rex was able to get through very quickly because he had a Sid in the middle slot with a Dwarf Axe on, dropping his agility, making everyone else faster. Cymar now moving that cane to the middle. That cane, if he has a Dwarf Axe or if he has a Drain Spear, will have much lower agility. Everyone else on Cymar's team will get increased number of turns, and he'll have a much better time with this antlion. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. And yeah, Cymar is going to be just again retooling. This is again very heads up, and people don't really think, but like, oh well, you should just know this and have this all set up. And it's like, well, if you go a little bit power overwhelming, you then have to pivot your strategies, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's again taking like what you have and going, hey, this is now better here, and I have to work with this here. And there's ways around like agility shenanigans, and actually Fusoya could be a great way around that. If he had them, but Yang might be a great way to deal with anchoring in this fight, in this location too. You can just strip him of his weapons, and his agility, I believe, don't quote me on this, is fairly middling without any equipment, so he can act as a fantastic anchor.
Yeah, he starts at 8 agility, and I believe when he gets up to like Nuke level, I think like level 52-ish, which would be where Palom learns Nuke. I think Yang has a natural 28 agility at that point. So he does not gain agility the same way that the other fighters do. He does stay a little bit slower, but he, still punches really hard at that level and has a ton of HP. But for right now, he could actually function as that secondary anchor. A little bit of bad luck, this antlion going after Cecil immediately twice for Cymar. Probably not what you want to see in order to try to get through this antlion.
I agree, but in essence, you kind of also want Cecil to be filling that tank role and taking those hits. You don't want, again, what just happened to Rosa to happen and take those beatings. We do see Rex taking a rogue fight. There's our other objective. We have our Mylon Z spotted, so we have both of our objectives 4 and 5 known. We have our requirements, and we could see if this is doubly required here.
Yeah, and putting on either a white shirt or a wizard hat, anything like that, Cecil should not take too much damage here. We actually see Cecil only taking about 300. So again, Rex making great usage of the different items in his collection uh, in order to get through them. So very well done so far. We'll see if he's able to keep the blinks up, of course. But this might be an objective number 5, a Mylon Z lit up for Rexbanner fairly soon here, if he can keep those blinks up.
This is true. Answer a question in chat. This is the Asura spot for where this Mylon Z is. It could be worse. He could have been the Leviathan spot, and that would have been super spicy, and I would have been really here for that. But the Leviathan spot also has another boss I don't want to see. That is a Valvalis. We don't have a Kane anymore to take care of that, and she is very punch happy there. You know, please know.
Yeah, it would basically be the same exact strategy that you would use here for this fight that you would use for Val. The issue is Val does this thing called Weak and ruins cover strats really fast. But Rex is through that Mylon Z, making great time through that fight. That was extremely well done. And also rewarded with Fusoya at full power and a Leviathan orb. So probably not the reward he wanted, but he does get that objective 5 complete. So very well done again to Rex.
Hey man, sometimes that's all you can ask for. Yeah, absolutely a good little pickup there. We have more money to be made in the seed, so we have more things to buy. And as chat is pointing out, and I agree, this is a French vanilla reward that is Leviathan from the Asura spot. So we have a summon reward from a summon reward location. It's very nice. We got a lot of things mixed up. And as always pointed out, we have Esco in his first outing pandering to comms. I'm here for this. I'm easily buyable, man.
Yeah, see, the only things I'm known for, like offing small children with coffins to keep them as anchors, things like that. You're known for actual cool things like, vanilla and jets and being a seed roller. So, I think it's great that they can pander to you. I'm just trying to think of how they would do that for me. I don't think I'm ever going to get that.
Anchor Palom and leave him dead the entire time?
I mean, that could be viable. Palom does start with 8 agility, so he can be a good anchor.
There you go. See, that's the possum special, is the Palom anchor. Oh, this is spicy. I did not expect this.
Nor did I.
I am so excited to watch Rex get through this fight, because I don't think... I'm going to go to a very, very handy-dandy chart that we have done by the wonderful and venerable that says what the defense and magic defense values are here. But you know what? I'm just going to go right here. This is where you punch the ever-living crap out of a Valvalis, because she is taking good damage from that edge.
Yeah, this is basically where Edge is going to swing about 25 times, and eventually Val is going to die. But thankfully, as long as the weaks don't hit Cecil, and the blinks can stay up on everyone else, and in particular the Ray attack can be healed, which there are 2 white mages to do this, plus actually Cecil probably knows heal by now also. This is definitely a doable fight. This is just simply a matter of can I versus should I. The amount of time that's going to be taken to do this is the big question mark.
Absolutely, and as pointed out by Gambit in chat, the magic status here is very low. This week is not something that is going to be landing. We've seen 2 misses so far, so all it is just going to be Valvalis punching really up. As I say, commentators curse, man.
Right.
So the thing is, you keep the blinks up on everybody because you have 2 blink casters. You are perfectly fine in getting that knocked around. So it's 1 defense, 80 evade, I believe. So it's this is a very punchable hit location.
Yeah, this is one where, again, it's very doable. Just going to take time. So it's a matter of, do you want to invest the time? Rex is saying, I don't ever want to come back to the Feymarch. I'm going to do everything.
I will 100% agree. So this is also one of those things we were talking about earlier. It's what happens when you take a fight that you know is free, but will take you a long time to get through. This is giving Cymar some time to get caught back up, sell some things, get some Sirens, get some Bacchus, and catch going through. However, if this is value, this pays off for Rex in spades. Like half of Feymarch, pretty required here, because you really don't want to have to go and do that Ogopogo. But if Valvalis is hiding anything like wonderful, it's that is not going to be something you're going to want to see.
Well, I mean, at this point, even if Val has a light sword, that would be fine because Cecil's still rocking an ice brand.
I'll take a light sword here.
So, you know, the reward is going to be a little bit of XP and whatever comes out from this Val. Looks like Cymar is backtracking a little bit from the hook route. That Antlion got the better of him. Going to be going and likely grinding somewhere. We will see where he chooses to grind. Could be the moon, could be on Earth. Be interested to see. He may also be doing shopping percent right now to try to find some goodies to facilitate his way underground.
Absolutely, and he's on the right track because this is Kaipo is where we do have access to those illusions that I was talking about. So this is a great way to get through. And again, this is another heads up play if you're in a spot where you're not comfortable or you're like, man, I can't handle this boss. Shopping is a great way to get through it. And as we see, these are the illusions here. You can buy yourself a couple. Those are free blinks, and that's what you want to use to get through that antlion spot. The magic stat that it has is fairly low, so those counters won't hit, but the punches will. So you throw up a couple of those illusions, and you do this. Basically, it's going to be the same things what Rex is doing, blink strats. A little minor unfortunate part is he did not Asuna the Fusoya unless he just wanted to let him get stoned. So we have one character down in that spot.
Yeah, the awkward thing about that is even if you heal him now, when he comes back, he'll have lost the blinks because he has been effectively removed from battle entirely. So that's kind of unfortunate. I think this edge is probably about 20 to 25 swings in now. But yeah, having a whale of a time with this Val.
Absolutely, and again, just doing the things that you need to do. It's you throw blinks, Berserk's already up, and now you just kind of relax and do your thing. There's the last hit from Edge, and there's a nice, cool 28k, a couple levels from people. Rosa is very close to getting her tier 4, by the way. I saw that fast come out. The reward, though, that's what you want to see for your Cecil. We go burr now.
I mean, it's a slight upgrade from an ice brand. You know, Crystal Sword, it's what, maybe 150 attack power more, has the holy element instead of ice. I guess it's an okay weapon, so it's a tolerable upgrade.
I mean, just a little bit of an upgrade. No big deal. But yeah, we have damage. We have everything we're gonna need for the Z fight now. We have Rosa, we have Edge, we have Cecil. Fu's gonna be doing his thing, and yeah, and we have Sid as the anchor. This is pretty much how the rest of the seed needs to go.
Yeah, and for Rex, that's basically going to, as you said, kind of define the rest of this seed. That is the DPS. The power couple is enabled between Rosa and Cecil. Fusoya going to be slinging around nukes and whatever else is needed. And oddly enough, now Edge, even with the great gear that Edge has, is reduced to second fiddle. How quickly the tables have turned.
But we're still in the Swiss round.
Ah, I see what you did there.
So we have Cymar. They're heading back down. Going to make another swing at this Antlion. Again, this is a bad spot for Antlion to be in. It's very punchy, very fast, and without the best anchoring scenarios. Yeah, that's another way to handle spots like this too. There is nothing wrong with lowering your battle speed to get through rude fights. Let me talk about the loveliness of a Wyvern in the Asura spot that I may have rolled at one point for some people. That's a good time.
No, Wyvern is pretty much always an awful time. You're entitled to your opinion. No.
What are you talking about? It was a good time. A good time everywhere. For us, up in the booth. When you're running, no, not at all.
Right, exactly.
Have Rex doing that Sheila check after. Oh, we have the sell. No, not going to sell that crystal sword. Everything else in the bank, though. We do have a lot of selling. Probably going to be doing that Sheila check. It's a whole bunch of time spent in Fabul because we do have that pan as well.
Yeah, I think this is the triple dip Fabul, the one that everybody always dreads. But you do Fabul defense because it's a hook route. You do Sheila 1 because that's what you're supposed to do, and then you get the pan because the game is just trolling you at that point. So fairly unavoidable triple dip of Fabul here. It's more of a painful situation to have to double dip Sylph Cave.
I mean, completely here for this. Also, if you double dipping the Sylph Cave is not a bad thing if you got to a place with a free heal, or if you were going to be using it for example those strats in Feymarch, but we've already done that, so that's neither here nor there. But it does also point you to, are we going to do Sylph Cave now, or sorry, not Sylph Cave, Luca Cave now, or are we going to go and do the tower? With the way everything is, I kind of agree with this. We are going to get this Luca Cave check, which is a great spot. It's out of the way, not a place you really want to go. And since we're not really looking for any bosses in this, any bosses now, it's this key item. What is it? Is it something that leads to something else? No, I'm out. Only thing I would probably keep here would be an Avenger.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. I would walk out an Avenger. It just makes Cecil go ultimate Burr instead of just Burr. You can peek this item before you fight the boss. In Rex's case, he does not need to peek the boss. He's seen Demus, he's seen Ogopogo, and he's defeated Mylon Z. So for him, it's just simply a matter of let me check on this item, and I'm out. Meanwhile, we see Cymar. They are fighting against this antline again. Hopefully they have a better time with this. Still looks like that Ice Brand is being rocked by Cecil. Does get a Silk Web off on this antlion, so for them that's a huge deal in order to slow that antlion down.
And yeah, as we know, we're not going to find anything better for Cecil up until we get this Crystal Sword, unless there's maybe another one in in Lower Babel, which could be in the trap chests, but we don't want to kind of go and check those out if absolutely unnecessary. Yeah, getting those hits out, those light illusions out, and then getting some thrown damage from Edge. Only have to get through about 6k here, so not a large amount of HP to chew through. But with a speedy boss, it's nothing you want to see.
Yeah, it's not pleasant, but it should be doable at least. And there's a Sand Ruby, so how much does Rex want that Tella? How much does Rex want that extra key item?
Ooh, that is also a really good point. We're still kind of hunting for two specific key items. It's, do you keep that? Like, what do we do here?
No, you don't keep that.
Yeah, never mind. We're done here. Yeah, we're out.
That's good information for Rex to have, to know that Golbez is out of the pool now. But yeah, any hopes of keeping that Sand Ruby went away very quickly once he saw that ha man just kind of hanging out in Luca Cave.
He just kind of gave the Golbez the peace sign, fades out slowly, and says, we're going somewhere else. Okay, thanks. And I agree with this. Do top of tower first, because you could get a vanilla tower key from here, which the amount of vanilla that Esco has been rolling so far, which again, shout outs to him. It has been fantastic. Also, we do have the Lunar Sparkle here. We have 3 still in the pool. We have the D-Lunars, we have Wyvern, and we have Plague. So this is either going to be very free, very long, or very annoying.
Yeah, the D-Lunars here would probably be the easiest of the 3. Wyvern is just always annoying. Plague is just the king of lag and making your emulator want to go do literally anything else. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see which boss is up here. I don't hate the safety save from Rex, just in case it is that nasty Wyvern. But looks like Cymar. Congrats to them. They are through that antlion. Please save Cymar. Please save.
Absolutely gets through that fight very nicely. The only trouble that they're gonna have, and this is like quote trouble, is with that green dragon. I believe they may still have the coffin. No, they don't have the coffin because they used it on the Staleman. But it's going to be a fight that will be taking a little bit of time, but they will get some great EXP and some great levels here.
That is definitely true. The gauntlet will be doable, but less fun for Cymar than it was for Rex, just based on party composition and levels. And there is blue, blue,
Freedom.
blue, blue.
So the nice thing here is you just cast Berserk on Cecil, on Edge. If you really want to be spicy, you cast it on Rosa as well. And then you kind of just put the controller down and have a nice little nap.
Yeah, assuming everyone is relative agility 1, which I think Edge is going to be for sure. Cecil should be. Rosa, I'm not positive on. Fusoya, unless that Sid is at 7 agility, won't be relative agility 1. So it'll be interesting. He may just be able to nuke this plague down in conjunction with some Zerks.
Oh yeah,
especially when those
8K.
nukes do 8,300.
Cecil's like, but I'm supposed to be the powerhouse. Fu's like, no. Let me show you how it's done, son.
This is how a real Lunarian does it.
Absolutely, the true hero from the moon we asked for. Yeah, Plague, very much not long for this world. What, 18k HP up here, 3-4 hits, gone.
Yeah.
Super quick, super easy, makes it look clinical. Only a ninja hat for the troubles. I say only, but that does help with some agility shenanigans.
The ninja hat is actually something to consider keeping, because that can get Fusoya to 23 agility, which means that even a 9 agility anchor, with the way this game rounds, means that Fusoya would still be relative agility 1. So if Rex is concerned about that, the ninja hat can actually let him do some things that he wouldn't otherwise be able to. That might be why he's taking this and walking it out.
Now, 100%, I agree. It's a fight it's an item you kind of want to take because you're still looking for some stuff just to like increase things. Even if you don't give it to that Fu, you can still give it to Edge or even Kane, and that'll increase some agility multipliers and some damage multipliers if you get up to a high enough number. So does walk it out. Probably gonna be going and doing Sylph Cave to cash in the Pan, because the only other thing we have now is left on the moon.
Yeah, this is a spicy team to go up to the moon. Certainly some damage that they can output. The survivability is still a little bit low. They'd be leaning heavily on blinks at this point. So we'll see what Rex decides to do next. Looks like Cymar is also thinking about what to do next. Might be wanting a couple more levels before that alt gauntlet to make this a better experience.
Absolutely, and seeing that fight is like, maybe I won't take that. Deciding how exactly they want to do things. Life staff from the Sylphs, can't really say no to that. That's great for Rosa for when you go to do the Z fight. Throw that on her and gives her some great wisdom stat. Was it Will stat? My bad.
Yeah, I think it's 15 will power, which is enormous. That's basically 2 multipliers for white magic, which is huge. Yeah, that's a wonderful endgame weapon. Oh no, looks like Cymar did not save after the Antlion. I swear I thought they did.
Yeah, I remember seeing one, but maybe they reloaded the wrong save location, because we do see a couple of different spots. So, but if they do have to go through that again, then they do have to just, again, they know how to get through it. They did it before, they can do it again.
Yeah, I hope the wrong file didn't get loaded or something. No, it looks like that Antlion's still there. That's very unfortunate, because that fight was troubling them quite a bit. So I hope they're able to get back through it again, and start prepping for that alt gauntlet. Looks like Rex went back into Cave of Blana and picked up some more sirens, maybe doing a 6 key item siren grind. Or maybe doing some more shopping. Well, there's some hourglasses in Tomra. That opens up a world of grinding. So that's a very nice find. But yeah, it looks like Cymar going back through this antlion. They have a couple blinks up. Hopefully they're able to get through this without any issues. Looks like Rexbanner going to be the hero of the people and give us the job dwarf, or maybe the villain of the people and not. We shall find out shortly. A social and human services assistant, I believe, if I saw correctly. And going to be doing some shopping as well, peeking this armor shop, which has a lot of crystal gear for Cecil, which is widely considered not to be that great. And exiting out of Tomra, but did give us that job dwarf check, so for that we do appreciate you, Rex. And looks like Rex now going to be making his way to the moon. Has decided he has had enough fun on Earth for the day. And off he goes. Looks like Cymar, meanwhile, has all of their blinks up and should be able to get through this antline fairly well again. Let's just hope that we're able to see a save after this so we don't have to see this antline a third time. That would be tragic. We definitely don't want to see that. But it looks like Rex is going to Value Cave. We know that an objective is there. The scary part about that objective, though, is it is Ogopogo. Might be choosing to grind in this Value Cave first. On floors 2 and 3, you can summon gold dragons, 2 of them, and hourglass them, and get, if you can life glitch them, 1 or 2 extra pools of experience. So instead of getting 60,000 experience, you can get upwards of 90 or 120,000, which goes a long way. But looks like Rex is headed straight into Ogopogo, committing to the bit, following your objectives, following your freebies. This is by no means a freebie, but this is an objective. Taking that crystal sword, immediately Bacchusing up that Cecil, blinking that Cecil with Rosa as well. Bacchusing up this edge, so looks like Rex is just going to go full on Zerk here and try to do everything he can to knock this Ogo down. Meanwhile, Cymar, they have gotten through that antline. Gonna take another shot at this gauntlet. And we hope that they have better luck with this this time than the last. Looks like Cymar opting not to save in between fights. So let's hope they are able to get through this gauntlet first try. We shall see. This is a bold play, so I hope that this pays off for them. Meanwhile, Rex going through, dealing about 4,000 or 5,000 per hit with that Crystal Sword Cecil, about 2,000 per hit with that Edge, and also trying to kill off this Sid. But yeah, everyone get your free end blesses out. Let's make sure that Cymar gets through this. We want to see them get underground. And there is Ogopogo down for Rex. Very well done. On
Absolutely. Very, very clinical fight. That's nicely done. Gonna see what the reward is. So that is objective 4 down. Is this hard required? No, just a magma key. not I mean, not the reward you're looking for, but that means that the moon, we've got some value up here aside from the objective 4 direct.
Wait, so Dathis, what you're telling me is we could have just fought Ogopogo at Value Cave at like level 17 and skipped the hook route?
Yeah. Why didn't we just do that? Like, that's the big brain plays right here.
Right? That would be 5-head, as the kids say. Do the kids say that?
Wow, man, I don't know. I'm a little too old to be vibing these things these days. How are you doing, fellow young people?
Oh, it's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, Rex through that, and I think he is going to be doing some gold dragons. Looks like some hourglasses, some sirens, rearranging the spells on Prusoya. This would be a very good time for Rex to do a little bit of a grind. And looks like Cymar now on to fight 3, I believe. The big difference for them in this gauntlet is not having Quake. So that is that's a determining factor of how this gauntlet may go. Also, I don't know that we've seen Rex save after doing that Ogo, but before this grind. So that's a decision that takes a lot of chutzpah.
Absolutely, and you're in the same area where the grind is going to happen versus where you just fought a boss. Kind of no reason to like leave, save, and come back, especially if you've got the point where you've got the hourglasses, you've got weak. This is like as safe of a grind as you're going to get. Aside from the thunder that could go off, if you wanted to be really cheeky, you could keep everybody at 1 HP so the King Ryu's only hits Cecil. Especially with that Dragoon armor, but I really don't foresee anything like bad happening in this spot.
Yeah, this is a pretty good grind. I suppose I'm just I'm a wuss when it comes to stuff like that. I don't want to have to fight an Ogopogo a second time.
No, 100% agree with you. There are some boss fights that you just look at and you go, once was enough, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's one of them. So I will say one that I have not been personally been enjoyed by has been the Kainazo at Element Sweat. I have not seen that. I have not tasted it. I have heard people talk about it. No, I don't want it. You can keep that.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's not fun.
Why do you lie to me like this?
And not only is it super fun if Kainazo were to be there, and for some reason our runners have to end up there. I can't think of a reason or a situation why our runners would end up on the Giant in this seed, the way things have played out. But yeah, those waves will do somewhere between like 2,800 and 3,600 damage. And I think we saw that in a community race a little while back. And I think that something strange, maybe Vanilla Agility was on and there was no Cursed Ring, and doing that fight on Vanilla Agility, it was gross.
Vanilla Agility itself is shenanigans that a lot of people kind of just like don't prepare for in some aspects, not in like a negative sense, but it's just like, it's things like, oh, I'm so used to middle character and Cursed Ring and this and this and this, and then you just don't have it and you're like, how do I manipulate the Cecil? And a lot of people just like straight up avoided Cecil. That was actually what happened with the Highway to the 3 Zone, the last tournament we ran. A lot of people were like, I don't want, no please. And yeah. Cecil kind of was like the way to nerf Cecil, because as we see, Crystal Sword Cecil is a beast of a character. So he does a great amount of work. He does just a whole bunch of everything. And it's like, how do we nerf this? How do we nerf that? And the one nerf that has actually gone through this tournament that I'm a big fan of for the admin team has been the Giant. That has been a place that nobody goes unless it is hard required. It used to be, oh look, I've got a Darkness Crystal, let me find some characters and we'll go D-Machine grind. No. Vanilla Giant means once you're here, I'm not locked in there with you, you're locked in here with me. Yeah. So it has been the way that has been to quote nerf the D-Machine grind, which is nice. And we've seen the typical egg grind come back with Sirens, but we've also seen a rise of probably my new favorite grind, the Doors.
Yeah, I mean, the door grind, if you can set it up and get it working right, is phenomenal. And oh hey, there's a Pinktail.
Oh, nice.
Rexbanner suddenly going to be one objective away, either a Legend Sword or a Twin Harp from Go mode. So all of a sudden, Rex very much so in the driver's seat now, I think. Cymar doing battle with that green dragon is through, so Cymar also going to be joining Rex underground. So very well done to Cymar to get through that hook route.
Yeah, they got underground. That is, again, not a hook route that if you're not prepared for is not kind, and it was a very rough spot. So they played it very well to get through there. Rex doing the hardest part of free enterprise. Dude, where's my hovercraft? Again, parking it there, and like, oh right, it's still over here. Going to be turning in that pink tail. Pretty much, I think, hoping for one item, which I would say would be the Moss Immune, or maybe even an Avenger. Probably the only two items you'd hope for from here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Artemis Bow, not exactly what you want.
There you
go. Maybe turn Rosa into Boza and her, let her sling some arrows. But
now,
yeah.
now hear me out. We get ourselves a heroine robe. We throw. We have ourselves a only healing from Fusoya, and we go try Zerker.
Oh, for sure. I love doing that because the damage that you get from Roses there is actually going to push you beyond the threshold for a second Big Bang. So if you're anchored properly, you're going to end up with just one Big Bang, and the healing from Fusoya is all you need. So yeah, that's one of those things we talked about very early on in the seed about how good Rosa is. She can contribute meaningfully in this Zeromus fight as a Zerker, not just a healer.
Absolutely. We go back to my point earlier on saying that she's the most balanced character because she is your jack of all trades. If she was anything, she's a red mage, even though she only casts white magic. She does a little bit of everything you need. She is that jack of all trades, master of the white magic, and is just crazy good overall. So Rex, having done get that pigtail, has objectives 3, 4, and 5, and we are looking for objective 1 and 2. We have some spots on the moon to check. Now, we know that Pale Dim is Odin. We don't have great ways of dealing with it. We have okay and solid ways of handling that fight. What do you do? Do you do that Pale Dim fight first, or where do you go here?
If I didn't have to pass, I would absolutely do that fight first because it would save me a potential extra walk down the lunar subterrane. But something that you had alluded to earlier about the pass being a huge time save, I actually like going to the bottom of the moon here. Probably taking on the ribbon room right away, the vanilla D-lunar spot, to get the crack at those two key items that are there. Obviously for Rex, he's hoping to find the Legend Sword rather than a Twin Harp, as it is a markedly faster check. But that is something that, we'll see what his decision is, where he opts to go first. But I definitely agree with going to the bottom here because you have that pass.
Absolutely, and a lot of people seem to go for the check dense location of the bottom. I'm a big fan of going top down myself because, again, a lot of people, they like going bottom up or middle out sort of thing, and checking from there. So if you go top down, you can get in a sneaky check. You generally be meeting around the crystal spear, or the crystal sword altar. So maybe you'll meet up there, and if that's the check, you kind of did a little bit. You've done fewer checks, but about the same amount of time. So it's a back and forth of which is better. Everyone has their own way of going about it. Everyone loves the whole skip this, fight this, what fights you don't want to do. We don't have any real rude fights left, so to speak. But we do see Rex. What he's doing is he's actually checking the stats on his characters, and he's looking at those Sid agility, and I think he's getting everyone to RA1.
Yep, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier about that that ninja hat, where because that Sid's at 8 agility, Fusoya at 20 is not technically going to be relative agility 1. So that ninja hat actually is going to push Fusoya to relative agility 1 and make him just as fast as the rest of the team, where normally Fu caps at 20. So that's very heads up by Rex to make sure that his equipment is properly modified for his team.
Exactly, and Yang, being ditched off the team, coming back for his revenge, is hit once, calls out and says, "Timeout, we're done here." Gives some levels to Rexbanner's team. Now they've got a little bit more, trying to get Rosa up to that 1800 HP mark, and we get 2 key item checks. which leads to another Mirasame and a rat tail. So we have a rabbit hole and a good weapon for edge.
Yet another good weapon for edge. A seed of swords for sure in this one.
Exactly. 2 ninja swords, 2 Mirasames. I mean, if we had a second Ed, we could have him as a great DPS here.
Oh, for sure.
Which is not something you really see often. Is oh, hello, Kaimazo. If he was one room over, this would have been really rude.
Yeah, this is actually fine here because Kainatsu is more or less a DPS race. And when you have Crystal Sword Cecil, you basically win a DPS race with almost anything in the game. So this will not be a concern. Rex is going to Zerk up the edge, Zerk up the Cecil, fire a nuke off with Fusoya. This Kainatsu, by the time he gets to fire off that wave, may not even kill Rosa here.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, we may get a little bit close here. Also, we see Saimar. They're taking their shot at Mylon Z. Going to be getting news. This is another really punchy fight. It's 2 punchy fight back to back with using of the illusions. Also showing that Mylon Z is a flying enemy, so is not going to be taking any damage from that quake, even though it is the Fiend of Earth. So very interesting that it flies.
Well, again, duct tape and rubber bands. The game devs had to make it work somehow. There's a nice little tickle from Kainatsu, 74 and 83 damage from a wave, and goodbye Kainatsu, and hello 31,200 experience.
Exactly, and also hello to a spoon. Great item to dart. But also additionally, the reason why Mylon Z is floating, because we're talking about that, is because they needed to make him immune to Earth somehow. So the only way to make him immune was to give him the flying element, or the flying type, which means that bows and Kane's weapons and stuff like that do extra damage to him, which is very entertaining. And to answer a question in chat, does Lit 3 do more than Nuke to Kainatsu? Only if the wave is up, but Nuke is a faster cast, so you will get more nukes out before you will get Lit 3 out.
Ew. This is my least favorite fight in the game. I hate Ruby, and I really, really hate Ruby at this spot. The Fire 2 counters are gross here. That's 400 damage to everyone on the team. And with a Zerked up Cecil, that's going to be 400 damage repeatedly. This is where that spoon that Rex just picked up, I would be darting that so fast.
May I introduce you to Magus Sisters in this trying time? Now, this is a very rude spot here. I think my top 3 rude bosses here are, Ruby, Magus Sisters, and oddly enough, Dark Elf, because of how fast it is and how he just like pumps out the spells back to back.
That's very fair as well. That is also not who you wanted to get targeted. Also, hello quad 9s from a glare.
That's another thing. That's why tier 2 spells hit so hard. The magic stat here is absolutely bonkers, because as we've talked about, it's there's some spots that hit really hard because they have high attack. If you do not do physical attacks, your physical stat is going to be high as possible. Why? Because shenaniganery with the coding for Final Fantasy IV. So this spot, because it doesn't do well on a magic aside from the blaze counter, and they want to make sure that hit, they gave it a fairly decent magic stat here. So you're seeing those fire twos, and again, the punches. The stats here are just bad, just bad.
Yeah, that's, again, it is my least favorite spot to find Ruby at, and I do not blame Rex one bit for saying, I'm good. We'll maybe come back to that. Never. Of course.
Can we get an Ice Claw, please?
Yeah, Ice Claw. Well, Ice Brand, maybe even, if that's still in our runner's inventory.
That's the interesting question, is the double damage weakness worth the stats? And I think the way that it works with the Crystal Sword is that it does not enough damage to... Sorry, the Crystal Sword will do more damage than the Ice Brand, but it'll be very, very close. I think probably like maybe about $2,000 or so difference in favor of the Crystal Sword, but I could be wrong. Someone who is way better at math can tell me whether I'm right or wrong.
I was promised there would be no math on stream, so I refuse.
Look, we're doing math, man. because we have to figure out agility. We have to see how many things we have to fight. Although speaking of fights, this is super easy. Throw that coffin or hourglass, and yeah, not even gonna want to life glitch these. Just get them out of here.
Yeah, this is a very punchy spot. Those rune rings, though, would have alleviated a lot of that, but not bad still. Though this is 120 some odd experience, 120,000 some odd experience. That's going to push the character levels even higher, and this is a slightly freer fight than Ruby. And oh hey, in case you wanted another dart.
No, that's the wrong holy sword. We need the 2 steps down from that one, please, and the one that makes into that.
Interestingly enough, that Ruby could have been darted fairly easily now with the spoon and the X-Cow that was just picked up. I think we're going to get that Odin check, but there is that possibility that Ruby is double required. Could have, the Twin Harp, which, let's say, has the Legend Sword behind it, or some sort of...
Also, really heads up, we did have Cymar. They got through that Mylon Z fight very, very well. Nicely done, considering they are at a, quote, lower power threshold than what Rex was. But again, lower is not always worse. They've done very well with what they had. So that is fantastic and nicely done.
Yeah, relying on, blinks, wizard hats, a couple darts, and a little bit of zerking, and able to get through that fight. So, yeah, to your point, very well done by Cymar.
Rex is going through. We're going to get this Odin fight. This is a pretty punchy spot, too. So the Bacchus, again, Bacchus, Crystal Sword Cecil, you go burr, fight everything. Could be a whole lot worse. That is still a chonky hit, though.
Yeah, Odin anywhere on the moon doesn't play around. He's pretty rude. But speaking of things that are rude, that's 6,300 from Cecil. So, yeah.
Not enough damage. 6k nukes. Look, now Nasus is like, but Fu, I do more than you, and then does half his damage.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate targeting, though. Losing out on the XP on that edge. Thankfully, he does have a ninja shirt, so for Zeromus, it won't be nearly as much a concern. That ninja shirt is ridiculously good defense.
Oh, hey, you want another crystal sword, man?
Actually, no, because you can't even dart a crystal sword. So that's literally worse.
Oh, resets out of it. That's asserting dominance. Doesn't care about the levels.
So this means either
Ruby's kind of required, my dude.
No, rat tail.
Ruby's kind of required, my dude. I did forget about the rat tail. Yeah, so Rex very wisely says, we'll deal with this Ruby if I absolutely need to. Going back to the Earth and is going to be checking out to see what this rat tail hides. Yeah, there's a lot of key items out in the wild, to be honest.
Yeah, every single remaining key item, other than the Sand Ruby, which we know is in Luca Cave. So Earth Crystal, Twin Harp, Baron Key, Legend Sword, they're all gated behind either the rat tail or Ruby at Ogopogo, which outside of the Alt Gauntlet at Ogopogo, that's my least favorite fight to see at the Ogopogo spot.
Absolutely. So we're going to get the moment of truth. The rat tail turns into Tower Key. The chains continue.
Oh yeah, that's the one key item I forgot to mention. So, of course, it's the one that shows up. Looks like Cymar, they are going to take on this Val. So looks like they are in for a fun time. And by fun, I mean not really fun.
Yeah, with the lower levels, they don't have the magic defense stats to really hold up on this. And with only one blink caster, this is going to be a lot harder. If they went back up and resupplied on illusions, this is going to be a much freer fight. Also, to answer a question in chat, have they gone to the giant? Neither runner needs to go to the giant because both boss fights are found and we know where Demist is. So we don't have to search for that and we don't have to do anything else along those lines.
Yeah, and I think we should take a moment, just kind of while we have Cymar contemplating what they want to do with this Val, and we have Rex kind of going to what is usually one of the easiest spots in the game. Make sure that you give these two fabulous runners a follow. They are putting on a great show for you. Uh, if you have enjoyed any bit of what you've seen so far, they are deserving of your love and praise. Uh, so yeah, go ahead, give Simar, give Rex a follow, and while you're at it, Escorian, who is doing our restream today, it is his first restream. So that's a great job done by Esco, rolling some nice vanilla, some nice rudeness, a good mix all around. And make sure to give Ellen Motas a follow, tracking and pushing all the buttons, making sure that we can see all the correct things lit up on the screen. And make sure to give my fellow co-commentator, Dathis here, a follow. If you want all the vanilla in your life, go ahead and give Dathis a follow.
Aw, pshaw. Also, big shout outs to Pasta Morpheus for carrying this comms. I'm just working here, man. I'm just spouting some hot memes. You're really keeping up with this and making it a whole lot more fun than what it needs to be.
Well, I think we're doing a great job as a team, and that's what this is all about. I just saw Simar go back into that Mylon Z fight. I'm concerned that we may have an issue with the saving again, the same as what we saw before with the hook route. I'm hoping that's not the case and it was just a wrong save file loaded.
Yeah, it looks like that's a possibility, which we hope that all it is a quick reload. If not, then again, doing that fight, they got through it once, they can do it again. They do have that level of skill to obviously get through it. But the big thing is we have go mode on Rexbanner's side. That tower key leading into the Twin Harp, we've got music on the way as well.
I'm not going to lie, I'm happy because we get music, but I'm sad because it means Ruby isn't required.
Okay, not true, just not hard required.
Fair.
I mean, and if Ruby had required music, I would have been so here for this. But I mean, we still get to hear it. We could still get to the Legend Sword there. We'll find out when the spoiler log eventually goes on through. But yeah, Rexbanner chasing down there while Simar is going to be doing a resupply of their items and most likely take another shot at this Mylon Z, which again they made through not very, very well.
Yeah, made it through once, can definitely make it through again. But while they are trying to get through that Mylon Z again, we have Rexbanner going down for music. One of the coolest things about the Free Enterprise Randomizer is that the music is actually randomized as well. There's, I think it's 252 songs, something like that, in the pool now. I know that Comlamity has done some great work with that. Board has done some great work with it. I think even Xenocat has chipped in a couple songs as well. So a lot of great community members making sure that we get to hear all the funky tunes that DJ Spoonie B plays.
But has he chipped in some chip tunes?
I like it.
Ooh, 243, nice. As Scarlet Kitty, our lovely art dev and Wizard of Wondering Pixels has shown us, it is 243. I've heard a lot of them on repeats, but speaking of, I'm gonna be a little quiet so Edward can tell us what song we're playing today.
Or we could talk through it.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of actually talking over music. We don't want to hear that, right?
Right, exactly. No, I'm gonna shut up now. Have fun, y'all.
So we have 3 bonks, 3 shakes, and ding, we are through the fight. That was, in fact, the Pokemon Center theme from Pokemon, one of the many games that also has a great RPG and a long-standing set right behind Final Fantasy tradition. We have hard required music, though. That is Legend Sword behind the music. That means that there is no way you could have done it. So Ruby has no value, unfortunately. Ruby was a bit of a bait, which is unfortunate for our side, but great for the runner's side. So that's 100% go mode. That's everything required for Rexbanner here.
Yeah, always interesting to get the double required twin harp. Um, yeah, that's a fun one to see. If Rex wanted, he could go forge and pick up an extra dart for that edge, but I have a feeling he's just going to go straight into this fight with the big bad final boss. We shall see, though.
Absolutely. Also, as pointed out by Sorbius in chat, that was Rat Tail into Tower Key, into music, into Legend. That was one heck of a chain that was going on there. And I think that Rat Tail started on the moon too.
It did, yeah.
So moon not haunted, pretty required.
Yeah, and it looks like Rex Banner is turning in that pass, going to take on the final boss of the game, Zeromus, who
The
is
inventory?
too big.
Oh.
Well, yes, the inventory boss, actually. That is the true final boss. But Zeromus, who is too big and too bad to put anywhere else. Big Bang would be patently unfair if you, found Zeromus in what, Antlion Cave, would you say? So, yeah, Zeromus doesn't get randomized as far as the location. Zeromus does get randomized, though, in the way that he appears. So, Dathis, there's a very important question that I think we have to ask while Rex is building this drama, doing some last-minute equipping and spell rearranging. I think it has to do with the flags in chat. It might be nap time, it might be something else. But
I thought they were just flagging down the waiters because we're about to start some lunch. No, Possum. I will let you. I will let you take the question. What question shall we ask everybody around here because of the 526 sprites done by, again, our fantastic art wizard, art dev, however you want to label her, Skull Kitty, and some done by Board AI. What is the question everybody's excited to ask?
What's for lunch today? Okay, fine.
Are we serving it up?
I guess we are. Hopefully hummus. But anyway, the question is, whose Tookus are we going to torch today?
Yes. Perfect. So we have the throwing of the crystal. We have some Bacchus wines being used. And we are going to see the fight that we're going to have today. Are we going to have maybe some more vanilla from Esco? Are we going to have something very cheeky? These come from everywhere. They come from other video games, other RPGs, other Square titles. It's going to be pretty fantastic to see which one we have here.
Well, that's a thing.
So this is technically vanilla in the sense that it comes from this the easy type version of Final Fantasy IV. I am so happy with this that this is what Esco's rolled for his very first seed. This is good. You can hear the smile I've got on my face. This is what I needed this afternoon.
It's definitely a good one.
But yeah, this also goes in as actually Lore Master Mortos was pointing out, human fused with other creatures as a big theme, actually, with a whole lot of Square Enix titles is very weird.
Yeah, the kind of unholy amalgamations, as Motos puts it, is a very apt way to describe that. Kind of look at a lot of these and go, ew, what are you? I see why we're fighting you, though.
I think that was a whole bunch of the point to do it. It's like, it's a very shock value. It's a very thing you're not used to seeing. Also, we do have Cymar. They've done a little bit of an egg grind, and they're going to be wandering around and checking some of the other shops to restock everything and go back down to do that Feymarch, or maybe go to another tech location. There's still a whole bunch that we could do. Finding those hourglasses, which are not bad to be grabbing.
Yeah, those hourglass is definitely very nice. Most likely going to get a drop dwarf check as well from Samar here. So also being a hero of the people, and we always appreciate that. So we have our human and social services person as well for the job dwarf. And looks like Rexbanner going through, just doing typical hybrid strats here. Zerking with Crystal Sword of Cecil, Zerking with that edge, and bouncing some nukes with Fusoya. Probably bouncing them until Sid passes away, and the fight will most likely end shortly after that.
Absolutely. The only way this could have been faster if we went full reflex strats, but this is the nice hybrid, perfect enough. Sid may get a heal up somewhere in this line, may not even get enough damage to see a second Big Bang, especially with those 4,500 swings coming up from Cecil, and I think, what, 2.5, 3K coming up from Edge? Yeah, 3.1, and then the whites from Rosa, if he so desires, but this is basically like, hey, this is what happens when you bring power overwhelming to Z.
Yeah, the only potential issue here would be exactly Big Bang into Medio, the old combo platter, as you call it, or as we call it. Cecil probably lives through it, but that would be the only potential way that this fight goes south. Otherwise, Rex is doing a very good job of managing this fight, as he has the entire seed, really. Has been very well run overall.
Oh, absolutely. And this is still, like, this is a fairly rude seed as an overall. We had a very interesting underground access that Antlion into Alt Gauntlet that if you weren't ready for, although Moon Edge kind of bailed you out a little bit, especially with that Mirasame right in Avalana Cave. There was the Cecil that was like, hey, we were looking for a weapon for you, looking for a weapon for so long, and then we get a Crystal Sword, and then they just start throwing weapons at him left, right, and center. So it was kind of like it was the Sid show, and then it was the Sid and Yang show, and then Rosa showed up. It was a very interesting seed as an overall whole, as a little bit of a thing. But speaking of seeds, all good things must come to an end. Zeromus is at the end of his HP bar. He have rocks. Everybody but Sid is getting his well-deserved nap from start to finish. Done everything. We are going to get the bang crack right there. There's the shakes. He's down for Zeromus. Easy Romus. Official time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 23 seconds. GG's out in chat going for him, and we're going to see if we can get Rexbanner in for an interview.
Yeah, GG's to Rex. Very well played. Staves off elimination. Moves to 1 and 2. Still has a chance to make brackets. Has to win the next 3, but based on today's race, this just goes to kind of show you, 0 and 2, Rex put on a heck of a show for everyone. And, what if runners are this good at 0 and 2, there is no safe place in this tournament. I think that is something that we can all agree on, that, everyone is so darn good. So again, GG to Rex, very well played, and we'll see how Simar finishes out their seed as well. Has also put on a heck of a show for us.
Absolutely, they both ran absolutely fantastically, and just well done in different aspects. It's showing different levels of strats too. Rex showing like when you do the more traditional levels, and Simar showing is like you don't have to go full traditional. You can go a little bit more power overwhelming, and they're still pushing through these fights without complete traditional works.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to be getting, I believe, an interview with our winner today, Rexbanner, and I think that ding in my ear means Rex is now joining us. GG to you, Rexbanner. Congratulations on the win today.
Thank you. Good morning, folks.
Good morning and well raised. Okay, so let's talk a bit about that early game of the seed. So you starting up the seed, you see you've got yourself a Sid, you've got yourself a Cecil. What's your first attack option for the seed for what you've got?
Check out Hobbs or whatever. Well, check out Miss Cave, see for loot. As soon as I saw what was there, I'm like, nah, going to take too long. Check Hobbs for a character, and then ordeals. The faster I can get Cecil online and get them levels, ideally, the better it is to me.
Yeah, and that Cecil did good work for you. That Yang, until you found the Edge, also did good work. What was kind of your logic in taking the Edge and replacing Yang instead of another character there? Just kind of walk us through that.
I was debating about either Sid and that, but I like Sid as an anchor because you can go through, and if you forget to put them on the floor, it doesn't hurt you bad. If you can find a curse string, you can level Sid, and there's not much worry. Quack Kid, I do like Quack, so... And Yang, I have my issues with them, like with dual Cat Claw, and that, with levels, hits hard, but I prefer Edge over him, and I knew the one Mirror Same already, and then... So, I just figured I'd go with more of the two melee, keep Quack Kid up until I could find a Foo, or use him for the end game.
Very fair. And I had a question about your keyless tower play. After you got the reward of the ninja hat, the decision to walk out instead of reset, was that based on the item or the levels or some combination of both?
Based on the item, it gave me the 3 agility, and I knew my Sid was at the point where Foo would not be RA1 anymore, so I wanted the extra points so I could get him to RA1. Unless I messed it up, I think I had Sid at 8 agility at that time, so you have to be 21 agility on your other characters for RA1, and Foo's only at 20.
Yeah, that was something that I had wondered while you were racing if that was the reason to walk it out. So that kind of gave us the insight there. So, very heads up by you, knowing all of the agility shenanigans that have to happen behind the scenes. The decision to go after that Val right away and then not seeing a key item, but seeing a particular shiny sword, how happy were you once you got through that and saw that?
I was so happy. I finally found a weapon for Cecil. I was running with that ice brand and looting a little more than I wanted to, hoping for a light or just something. So when I saw that crystal behind the Val, I'm like, perfect. I got something to go with. We have basically go mode at this point once I find all my items. Edge and Cecil with the weapons I had would drag me through that Z fight with ease.
Speaking of the Valvalis, you see the Fey March, you see the purple robe, you got Mylon Z under your belt, and you're like, I could just kind of leave this for now. What made you decide, no, I'm going to sit this out, I'm going to stick it out and get through this Valvalis with the squad that you had?
I like one dipping if I can. I don't like the double dip. And the Val, I was fairly certain could be hit there. The magic I wasn't 100% on, but I was fairly certain Val could be hit there. With Blinks, it's basically a free fight, it's just time. So, because all Val does is weak and hit you, so blink your party up. The weak really means nothing with blink up. I take that as a free fight, just a time investment.
And early on, once you got the Darkness Crystal, we saw you peek both the Value Cave and the Murasame spots. You saw that there was an Ogopogo, obviously in Value Cave, which is admittedly a disgusting place to find Ogopogo. But were you relieved knowing that you had found that objective? Or, what was kind of your thought process doing those checks and also then seeing that Ogo?
I like doing those checks on the boss hunts, it gives you insight into a couple spots where your bosses could be. So with, checking the top spot and seeing it was Odin, I'm like, okay, it's not really that important. And then when I went to the Cave of Value and seeing it was Ogopogo, then I'm like, okay, I at least know where one of my bosses is. It's at a spot where it's gonna hit hard, but I'm a fan of Blink strats, and so I knew it was doable there. So it made me happy. I just needed to get some levels and get some gear so I could go back and deal with it.
Absolutely makes sense. I think you played that to a T with those blink strats with that Ogopogo. It was very smooth and well done. Also with that Val, the Mylon Z, a lot of really good blinking into Zerking on your part throughout the entirety of the seat.
Thank you. I generally do like a lot, I think, more of the Kata style, so I I figured out the blink strats. It's so important in those seeds.
Exactly. It's a lot of strategies that people kind of like, oh, well, you know, blink is a thing. You don't really think about it. But blink can be as good, if not better, than a cure 4 in some spots. Now, let's get down to like near the end of the seed. We have 2 locations left. You've got that rat tail, and then you see the last fight on the moon, which is that the Ogopogo spot. Walk up to Ogo, and here's Ruby. What's your thought when you see that?
Very bad words. And then I'm like, well,
You won't repeat them on stream.
yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, so I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I'll just berserk. Maybe I can cure 4 through it. As we all seen, that was a terrible, terrible idea. So at that point, I'm like, well, I'm going to chase the rat tail. I'll go up. I'll check my other spots. If I don't get anything from there, I can chase the rat tail and hopefully avoid the ruby. If ruby's needed, I probably would have went and did some searching on Earth for curse string to go with the dragoon armor, so at least Cecil would probably live through it. The rest of the party no, but I think the curse string dragoon was what I would have had to find to get through that fight with ease, or nukes, and everyone else pass. So was happy the fight was not required.
So let's go back to another question about your party setup. So you have Palom, you know that you're going to be doing some grinding to at least get Rosa online, and you see this Foo. What made you change from seeing, like, looking at the stuff, so, like, you have an you only have an Ice Brand right now. I can kind of get rid of you, and I can justify that with this Fusoya, or I can get rid of the Edge and just kind of go, like, Reflect Strats hybrid kind of thing and go more on the Reflect side. What made you just straight up dump the kid for the old man?
Blink. I will not lie. As I said, I like Blink, and with Fu, you get the black magic as well as the ability to do Blink, Berserk, Cure, so I find him much more useful than Palom. Like, I like Palom, but given a Fu, I will replace the Palom every time just for the versatility. You don't have to worry about grinding to 52 to get nuke. You got, get to 1900 HP and you have nuke, hopefully before then, but that's what a lot of it was. I find Fu just more versatile, useful than Palom. Palom, great for the early game with the virus and the quack, but later on, it trails off. I would rather have my Blink, my Cure 4 early than waiting for it.
Very true, very true. So the hook route. We have ourselves the Antlion into Alt Gauntlet. You took the fight right beforehand, got yourself a smattering of levels from the Mad Ogre chest, which, again, props on getting a double life glitch on a Mad Ogre, by the way. It's not easy to do. So we see that run, and what is your thought when you think... You see the blue robe first. What's your thought there, and then what's your thought when you see Antlion?
Antlion, I'm like, ouch, this is gonna hurt. I was fairly certain I could get through it. I know the counter I wasn't worried about, it was the physical attacks. So it was more of a, this ain't good, but I had levels, I had enough that I felt that it wasn't terrible. I know he hits hard, and my whole plan was just Edge. Berserk Edge and try to keep Edge up. Everyone else can go down as long as I have an Edge. That's going to pull me through the set for that fight. And then getting up and seeing the blue robe or whatever, I knew it was either Hag or Gauntlet, turned into Gauntlet, and I'm like, well, this will give me Quack.
Makes sense. It was, again, very well run from you, start to finish. I really don't have any other questions. Just compliments, really. It was a fantastically run race from you, Rex. Happy to see you move to 1 and 2. And for those at 1 and 2, they should not look at you as a pushover by any means. If this race is an indication of what you're able to do, you should be able to strike some fear into your opponent's hearts moving forward. But yeah, that's all I got for you questions-wise. Dathis, you got anything else for Rex?
Just actually to continue on with the 1 and 2. So, guys, as mentioned by Possum, you did hit that 1 and 2. How do you feel about your chances? Like you're kind of now on like the whole quote fight for your life kind of thing. It's win or lose or be gone now. How do you feel about your chances of going further?
Uh, I feel 50-50. There are some terrifying people in this 1 and 2 pool, so it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Um, but I honestly entered into this just fun, something to keep me going. As much as I'd like to win, I just doing this because I enjoy it. So
That's the important thing.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So again, GG's on your win. Excited to see you continue on the tournament, and have yourself a lovely rest of the afternoon.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys for the commentary on this. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks, Esco, for that lovely seed, and to our tracker. I'm sorry I didn't catch who it was.
Lower Master Motas.
Lower Masteros, thank you guys very much for everything. Thank you for putting this on, and I hope you folks have yourselves a good day.
You as well, Rex. Take care, and GG. And that was Rexbanner, moving to 1 and 2, our winner today. And we will see if we can get Simar in for an interview. They put on a valiant showing for us today. Unfortunately, came up short. But GG to Simar. I believe we are now joined by them.
Yes, thank
Yeah, GG Simar again. Unfortunate wipes in some aspects, but you still powered through a lot of that seed very well. Let's go to the beginning as I asked Rex. So you've got yourself a Sid, you've got yourself a Cecil start, you've got that Dwarf Axe. What's your plan of attack with this seed?
Basically, it's just go fight bosses. You know, I wanted to get a little equipment. I probably shouldn't have, but really that was probably overkill. I didn't need to go farming Baron or whatever.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Perfect. It's great to know about that. So you get up, you find yourself a Yang, you've got yourself the Rosa from underneath from the package after going through Antlion Cave. How are you starting to feel as your team's coming together and you're eventually get that cane? How do you feel about your squad so far?
I felt great about the squad. I was worried it was going to be an easy seed, and I found out it was not. So that was actually welcome because I feel like I'm not going to finish under 3 hours for any seed. So I need my opponent to struggle.
You then again put up a great effort. You've done you did some good showings in the fight. You actually did strategies a little bit different than what would be called I guess conventional, which is not bad. It's great. You showed that as like as we saw with a couple of things. You got rid of the Sid as your anchor. You then put Kane in there as a nice little heads up play. You didn't take the Palom. Let's go through a little bit of that. So getting rid of the Sid and not taking the Palom. What was leading your decisions there for those?
Well, let's see. Palom, I already had Rosa, so I don't need Palom. Sid, I'm trying to. Did I get rid of him for Kane?
I believe you did, yes.
And was that Dwarf Castle? No, Dwarf Castle was food.
I think it was Baron Inn.
Yeah, Baron Inn is
Inn.
where you got rid of him.
Okay. Yeah, well, I had the Gungnir. And I thought maybe there's a required Valvalis somewhere. But the big thing is I had the Gungnir, I didn't have any great Sid weapons.
Again, that's very fair. And as we saw, you can use Kane as an anchor in a pinch if necessary. Plus, there's also ways to manipulate his agility in that aspect. So you get through, and then we get to the big first stopping block. We get to your Antlion, and we get to your Alt Gauntlet. How did you feel when you saw that Antlion and saw how punchy it was?
Well, I was excited that I figured maybe my opponent gets walled here. I've done some wandering around the overworld, so I might have a slightly better party and equipment than my opponent. by the way, just to go back a second, I actually sold the Gungnir when I got to Fabul, and then I thought I shouldn't have done that, and I just saved so I reset.
And again, that's another heads up point. It's like, hey, we've got this, and you've got the ability to just reset afterwards. So it's big heads up on you in the fact that you realize, oh, I sold something I didn't want to. Well, let's go get that back.
Yeah, I knew the king was waiting in Baron, so I thought, Sid doesn't have any great equips. Cecil didn't get a good weapon, like, ever.
Yeah, the struggles were definitely there for both of you on those Cecil equipment choices. That other than the ice brand, there was nothing to be found for him. No light swords, even no ogre axes. Rex was able to find behind Val, actually, who we know that you took a couple cracks at. There was a crystal sword behind that Valvalis. So you were right there on the cusp of breaking through. Really would have been able to light up the seed at that point.
I think I had actually just found a samurai bow for Cecil, and I know there were samurai arrows, I think, in Feymarch.
I believe so as well. But yeah, you managed to again get through to the underground. You see that Mylon Z. What's your thought as you see not just Mylon Z, but you also see Valvalis right beside him? What's your thought on those Feymarch bosses?
I was thinking this is good because I'm glad I took that cane, and of course Mylon Z, it's required, and so I thought let's go ahead and do it. I think that was a mistake.
I mean, you think it was a mistake, but you still showed that there's other ways to go about it with those fights. You went and you did some shopping percentage. You saw those illusions, and you made the really heads up play of knowing that they gave you that J item for blink, and then you pushed through the fight very well. Like the time you did it, it was very fantastic. What was your thought process? Like, it was like, okay, so I'm doing this fight. What led you to then go do the shopping percent?
The illusions, I think, was shopping for Antlion, actually, because I wasn't getting past him otherwise. The shopping that I did on Mylon Z, I'd actually beaten Mylon Z, and then I accidentally forgot to save before going into Valvalis, and I had to reset that. So I thought that fight was way too long. I can't afford to do it again. So let's go get some sirens. I know there's sirens in Evelyn Cave. Let's kill a few dragons and make the fight faster for next time.
And again, that's another thing. You know the power that you have. You think, okay, my characters can only handle so much. Go get some levels, and you'll take a fight that you know will be easy with some extra HP. Again, more heads up and more just like really smart routing and rerouting on the fly. And again, hands up in chat if you haven't accidentally forgotten to save after doing one fight into another and then lost your process.
Also, one thing that I'm going to have to remember is not to use Firefox for the tracker, because Control R resets your game. It also resets, it's also refresh on Firefox.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's unfortunate.
That hit me 2 or 3 times.
Again, so we see that you again just ended with a forfeit. No shame in that. You've done fantastic. The question is, we're going to see you for the next couple of matches. They're going to be now for Prides. I'm excited to see you continue to go through the last couple of rounds, maybe pick up a win. Regardless, still keep going and still keep learning, because how long you've been around in the community for, out of curiosity? How long have you been racing for?
I've done 2 other tournaments, I think. I know I was in Hummingway Open was the last time I played, actually. I haven't been playing for a while. I bounce around from community to community, it feels like. But, so I did have some experience, and there were some nasty seeds in the Hummingway Open, too. I know I won 1 race in the Hummingway Open. That was August 24th or 25th of 2019. Actually, it might be my birthday race, 26th. But,
All right. Well, yeah. So nice to see you come back. Always glad. Always welcome everybody back and everybody new. So it's great to see you come back to the community and give it another shot. And again, great showing here. Regardless, always love to see how people again evolve, change, and go from there. And you've done fantastically. Possum, you got any questions for them?
No real question. Just again, compliments all around. It's always a pleasure. Watching everybody do these races and running these seeds, running into these fights that I don't want to have to take. Ant Lion at the King Queen Evelyn spot is one of those that is just absolutely dreadful. And I, I'm envious that y'all are able to get through it so easily. And in your case, fortunate or unfortunate, it was multiple times that you were able to show Simar that you were able to get through that antlion fight. So, overall, just a wonderful performance. Might not have ended the way you wanted, but you still put on a heck of a show. And, just wanted to compliment you on that.
I actually went back to the save point after Antlion and then forgot to save anyway after I tented. But
we've done that before.
So I had a couple save mishaps and may have saved a few too many times elsewhere and lost a couple seconds. That's worth it. And definitely next time I get to the underground, I'm probably delaying Fey March a bit, because those bosses, even if you can beat them, it will take forever.
They don't say Fade March for nothing. Again, GG Simar, nicely well done, and really excited to see you in your next two races.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
So again, that's Simar going down to 0 and 3. Very well raced by them. Give them the GGs, give them a follow, and was showing a fantastic race this afternoon. But also, that looks like it's going to be it for us for this current afternoon race. However, Possum, is that all the afternoon races we have going on? Are we just going to be done for today?
You and I are done on comms for today. I think Rex and Simar are done racing for us today. But for those who want more free enterprise in their lives, which I think is probably all of us, there's a ton of other races today. We have coming up very shortly, if not already in progress, Mountaineer Gamer versus Apex Corvid on Randomania 2 at noon Eastern. So that is actually underway. Time is hard. We also have Dark Kobold facing Rumblefish at 1 Eastern. Gundam Pilot Spaz versus Oskredwin at 2 Eastern on Free Enterprise, which is where we currently are. Commander Leonhardt versus Flurry 14 at 2 Eastern as well. Vitasia versus Antidale at 7 Eastern. And then Solaris versus Twisted Flax at 8 Eastern. Back here on Free Enterprise for a third time.
There's a whole bunch of races, and we have another 2 p.m. races actually coming here over to Free Enterprise as well. I'm so excited. We have so much freeing going on. Speaking of, we're going to be throwing you to another race right now. So we're going to be sending you over to Randomania 2. Again, huge shout outs for the rest of the team we have here. We got Possum Morpheus keeping me in line. We have Escarian with a great seed for their first showing. Super relaxed first restream. And Lore Master Motos lighting up the buttons, not chewing them, and doing a great job in making sure that everything is caught up and shown up on stream.
Yeah, so enjoy that Mountaineer Gamer Apex Corvid race over on Randomania 2. And remember, no spoilers, y'all, or else you get either the newspaper or the hammer. So no one wants that.
And I'll say this, they're very good at leveling those newspapers. I've gotten them a lot. GG's, folks. Have a great afternoon.